Hello, I'm Naomi, and you are here.
Hi, nice to see you again. I was feeling all bookish in my new Alice in Wonderland dress and thought I'd do a quick update on how my reading's been going this year so far. Always seems very strange to say this year so far, as if there's been so much of this year. It's the 7th of January. If you're watching this later, it really is just the beginning of the year. So, what have I been reading? Well, last night I finished Gwen and Art Are Not in Love. This is one I picked up from the Comic-Con, and Lex Croucher was speaking. That sounded the concept of medieval romance where a betrothed couple are not in love with each other and in fact have other love interests appealed to me. So I had the chance to get it signed, which is always lovely. There's something really special about having signed copies. I really enjoyed the book. It wasn't quite everything I was what I was expecting, because it wasn't set in a realistic. It was almost alternative reality Camelot, in a civilization where rather than Arthur becoming truly into legend, that it was real. It's written in two viewpoints. Gwendolen, not Guinevere, Gwendolen, who is the daughter of the king, and does not like the suitor that's been chosen for her since she was a child, and Arthur, Art, who's come to Camelot to prepare for the wedding, but Gwen catches him kissing one of the boys from who look after the dogs, and Gwen is rather more interested in Lady Bridget de Clare. And I think there's some really interesting bits in here, particularly the discussion of feminine hygiene, no, periods, let's be honest, or more specifically about painful periods and the attitude of men going, well, if it's your period, it's what you make a big fuss about. So I really liked that. It was quite a slow burn, but very much the couple, or rather Gwen and Art, almost like friends to lovers, only they didn't become lovers, they became not friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, enemies to friends, and are recognising that they do want to work together. So quite light-hearted, definitely one for I'd be quite happy for most teens to read. Not too heavy on the spice. Definitely a good read. The next book that I've read was Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell, which is a thriller on midnight in an area of urban wasteland where cats hunt and foxes shriek. A girl is watching. When Sapphire Maddox was 10, something terrible happened, and she'd carried the pain of it ever since. The man she thought was going to heal her didn't, and now she hides, learning his secret, invisible in the shadows. Owen Pick is invisible too. He's never had a girlfriend. He's never even had a friend. Nobody sees him. Nobody cares. But when Sapphire goes missing from opposite his house on Valentine's night, suddenly the world seems to be watching Owen. Now, for a large chunk of this book, I was like, hold on, is this about how, basically looking at the damage done by false accusations, implying that false accusations are common, because Owen is victim to false sexual allegations from his college students, and then gets picked up as a suspect in whatever has happened to Sapphire, because she's just gone missing. I think it actually handled it really well, though, because I think Owen had a really interesting story arc. You had this loner who was struggling to make sense of the world around him, who got unfairly treated and led into the sort of incel world. And then what happens through him finding himself and making sense of what he had done wrong, when what he hadn't done was assaulting a woman, I think is really interesting. Sapphire's character progression is interesting too. I think it flits between character viewpoints, and I think there are some of the voices are better developed than others. But yeah, I didn't totally expect the end, but it just totally made sense. So and some really interesting look at how people are noticed and not noticed in the environment. So that's The Invisible Girl. Sorry, not The Invisible Girl. Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell. One that I'm reading for work at the moment is Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. I'm currently just, it's one of my Christmas present bookmarks in there, which is looking at the power of creating community to improve companies, and looking at the idea that bosses don't need to be getting everyone really serious and worked out, but that when people in a workplace feel safe and happy, that they are more productive. The first section is very much about the power of belonging and recognising that people are, that employees are people too. Truly human leadership protects an organisation from the internal rivalries that can shatter a culture. When we have to protect ourselves from each other, the whole organisation suffers. But when trust and cooperation thrive internally, we pull together and the organisation grows stronger as a result. I think of all of books that I've looked at about leadership, that sums up what I see as important more than perhaps other books that I've read. So yeah, really interesting read as a non-fiction read, and for anyone who has leadership roles. And then there's a book I started today, Heartstopper 5. I think it very much carries on the themes of the other 4 Heartstopper books. I like it. It's very much, it's very innocent and sweet. How that's going to work, as the main theme of this book is about how relationships take a step further, and the role of sex within a relationship. That's going to be interesting. I'm a little way through, but it does remind me of what relationships are like when you're 16, 17. Yeah, it's really nice, and also some really nice thinking about Charlie, who is anorexic and has self-harm scars, and thinking about how he exposing how he feels about his body, and how that is nothing to do with what Nick, his partner, is thinking of. So interesting. I'll tell you more about that when I've finished it. But that's what I've been reading this week, and that's the first week of this new year. Went back to work last week, and next week we really hit the work properly. So what am I going to read next week? Well, I'm going to finish Heartstopper. I've got Teacher's Dead to read. Hoping to read that one on the bus for work. And I've got the some more from the Past and Future readathon. So, and also I'm wondering whether I can count The Magic Faraway Tree as a classic, even though it's a reinventing. So we'll see. It might need to actually go back to the original Faraway Tree and compare it. But my main read for next week will be Teacher's Dead, and also more of Leaders Eat Last. Oh, and just show you 2 new books I got this week. One of the teachers' reading groups that I follow are reading The Ice Children by M.G. Leonard, and I looked at it. I was going to get it on Kindle. Then I realised it's actually got quite a rich number of illustrations. I do love beautiful illustrations. There's something about with illustrated books I like to have as a physical copy. And a graphic novel collection called Drawn to Change the World, 16 Youth Climate Activists, 16 Artists. Which just caught my attention when I was looking at other things. I think it's quite interesting because it is lots of different art styles, and it's Greta Thunberg, which we perhaps who I'm most familiar with. But yeah, they've got quite a range of things on. I want to actually sit down and read through this. But it's about young people changing the world. Which...
Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you again. And I'll just finish off with a photograph I took at King's Cross Station. Isn't it beautiful? Reading tree. Bye.